Ladies and gentlemen, it is October 22nd, 2013, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 110. I am your host, Keenan Lafferty, and this is the show where we learn to be better artists. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial on how to suck, how to draw badly. What is this all about, right? Today we're going to be talking about some things that I'm not so good at, right? And basically how you can kind of push past your own insecurities about things that you're not competent with and just figuring out how to do them and understanding that you're not supposed to be perfect at everything. And today what we're going to be focusing on is my ability to capture likenesses and caricatures. But before we get into that, we need to take a stroll down the lovely lane because we have some amazing new pieces submitted to the very own KNKL Facebook. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been submitting their awesome pieces. And something that I'm trying to do now is I'll take some of my favorite things throughout the week and I'm going to start featuring them, putting them on the front page for everybody to see, and I'll kind of type a little bit about what I like about the piece. A lot of you have been asking me to do critiques, and while I don't really like doing those because, I don't know, I don't like doing critiques, I do like featuring people and telling them what I like about a piece. So that's about as close to a critique as you're going to get. So once again, thank you to everyone who submitted their stuff. For those of you who have not come out of your shells yet, please join us. Join the picnic above on the nice grassy hilltops. We'll eat crackers and sip wine, or if you're underage, grape juice, right? All right. So with all that, we're going to go ahead and go into capturing likeness. Capturing likeness. And what we're going to be drawing today is a man by the name, well, he's more of a boy, but it is Josh Baylock from the popular hit TV series Video Game High School. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Created by Utah's own Freddie Wong. He actually lives right up in Provo, 20 minutes away from me. And they used some of my artwork in their Season 1 episodes, and I was thinking about calling him and being like, hey, I thought that was really nice that you decided to use my art without my permission. And yeah, would you like to give me a job and just let me in on Season 3 or whatever? I'm sure they're working on Season 3 by now. So yeah, I chose Josh Baylock as our subject today, and that is what we're going to be drawing, and I'm going to show you how much I suck at drawing people and capturing likeness. We're going to see if we can figure out, just figure stuff out, right? Okay, so the first thing that I like to do when I'm capturing likeness, right, is basically I like to look very quickly at the overall, head shape, right? So Josh Baylock has a very kind of I don't know, you could say general egg-shaped head. And something that really comes in handy for me, for the little that I do know about capturing likeness, is I've been trying to kind of, similarly to the way that I draw the same characters over and over again in the comic, right? I'll kind of make measurements, right? I'll draw a circle within his head, like this, right? And I'll divide that circle in half, and then I'll say, okay, his eyes are just below that center line, okay? And then I figure out, okay, from this half of the circle down, that measurement down is going to be where his chin rests. And that's kind of a general idea of how I go about kind of creating measurements for a face. But the thing that always bothered me was, okay, well then how the heck do caricature artists completely distort the face and still make it look, they still capture that likeness? And this is something that has always puzzled me, and even to this day it still eludes me. The answer eludes me. So I'm going to show you guys basically how much I suck at this, and what I'm hoping to accomplish today is to show you guys that I am not, you should not be afraid to just push past the things that you feel you're not confident with, right? You feel you're not confident with in terms of your skill levels. And really, understand that that's okay. It's okay to not be good at something, and it's okay to suck in general. Another idea I was going to have, or another title I was going to have for today's show was How to Suck Properly, but I thought that might be a little inappropriate. So let's go ahead and just continue with this. Okay, so with those measurements that I made, I noticed he has a very high nose, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to draw his facial features in the same spots, right? Pretty much the same spots as that they are. And then I'm going to go about and try to exaggerate them and see if we can still get Josh Baylock's facial features and still make it look like him. But so far, looks like we're doing okay. We're doing okay. The thing I like about Josh Baylock's freaking mouth is he does this thing with his lips, I don't know what it is, like a half snarl, but it's That's like at rest when his mouth is just normal. It's like this all the time, right? And I actually have a friend who has a similar like thing going on with his mouth and the way that he just like shows his teeth as he just sits there. But you can see very quickly that this is like, it's kind of looking like him, I guess. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that, well, to do caricatures, you just take what makes that person look like that person and just exaggerate it. But what does that mean? What does that exactly mean? So, yeah, and since I'm on the spot, I don't know, maybe it'll actually work. Maybe because I'm on the spot and I'm on the show right now, maybe I'll actually make this look semi-decent because, you know, oftentimes I overthink things, and when I just do stuff because I'm showing it on the show, you know, it might actually work. Actually, you know what? That sort of does look like him in a way, but not exactly to the point that I like. It's not like a caricature. Like, some of these caricature artists are just so good, and it bothers me. It bothers me how good caricature artists are. Okay, so let's start with something like that, okay? So this is about the point that I get to, and I'm like, okay, does that look like Josh Baylock? Kind of, not really, right? So I was like, okay, well then what do I need to do? Is it just, do I need to, okay, let's try erasing the lines, right? Let's try erasing the lines. And I'm a firm believer that the likeness of a face can be captured with simplicity. And I think that's really what I'm trying to get at here, is that I think that, you know, by doing things badly, by allowing yourself to kind of suck, right, you very quickly start to figure out why you suck and what you need to do to fix that. Okay? So, one of the things that I don't necessarily like is, I don't like how, like, I always ask myself, is it the shadow? Is it the shadows of the face? You know? Is it the shadows of the face that make the character look like, or that face look like that person? And I seriously just don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that face like that, because that sucks, and that's what we're supposed to do today. We're supposed to suck properly. I mean, be okay with our challenges, with our artistic challenges. See, and I guess here's what I'm trying to get at. I want to be able to capture faces because I can paint that face, right? I can paint Josh Baylock's face with detail, right? Like, I can get in there and just like measure everything out and like paint his face exactly. But what I want to be able to do is capture what makes his face memorable and iconic in like the fewest amount of strokes possible, aka like a caricature, and then be able to distort, like knowing how to distort the face. So let's go ahead and do take two. And I'll use this photo for some more reference, because I actually like this photo. This photo is really good. I think this will be good for a caricature. So let's go ahead and go into that. So for a caricature, let's see, I think one of the biggest things that I want to do here is let's focus on, you know, what makes his face his face. One thing, the biggest thing that I noticed is he's got these cheeks that kind of like stick out, and his jawline is fairly pronounced. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw that part of it, that shape of his head, you know, and try to exaggerate it for all that it is. Okay, now he's got very kind of low set lips. So let's do that there, and then also his nose. You know, he's got quite a bit of space between his mouth and his nose. So let's like increase that. Let's caricature that, right? And what I'm going for here is simplicity. I'm going to try to capture his face in as few lines as possible, and let's see if we can actually do this. I can only imagine what you guys are saying over in the comments, but I'm not gonna read it unless, okay, you guys, the sound is working. The sound is working. That's good. I'm not gonna read any comments until it's time for questions. Okay. All right. So one thing that I also notice whenever I'm drawing faces is I tend to under-exaggerate the hairline. I tend to make their hairline, or like their forehead rather, I tend to under-exaggerate it where it should be much bigger. I tend to make it much smaller. So one thing I'm also noticing, I'm going to go ahead and use the crutch of the lasso tool. I think another thing that makes his face memorable is just that he's got these really kind of like low eyes, high nose, and then low mouth. So let's drop his eyes down even further. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. He's got pretty wide set eyes as well. Let's go ahead and draw on this general hair shape. So I'm liking that. I was thinking about drawing some of the other characters too, like Ted and Key, but I was like, let's take it one step at a time. One step at a time. Okay, so I like that he's got like these angular eyes as well. Let's go ahead and get us some of that, some of that. And this is looking like something. Definitely giving us something here. Josh Baylock still, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced about it. I think I need to capture the whites of his eyes a little bit more there. Now he just looks tired. But that is okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep refining this until it's to the point where I think I've done my best. And I'll just show you guys, you know, like I said, today is all about exposing my vulnerabilities, showing you my weaknesses as an artist, and being okay with them. Being okay with them. And if you guys are interested in continuing with learning to caricature and capture likeness, or if you have any good suggestions and you're watching this on YouTube later, please post those links down below so that way people can actually learn something instead of just watching me suck. In fact, there's another thing that I've been wanting to do that has always been very interesting to me, and that is if you take this face right here and then you take away everything around it. In fact, let's do that right now. Let's do that little experiment because I want to know if we erase everything around his face and we still see him in it, you know, like without his like the actual shape of his face, is that still his face? I know it's hard because that face is there. Let's not look at that either. See, what's interesting is, and I like to squint my eyes on this too, because when I look at that, I would say it's not. I would actually say it's not. It's not Josh Baylock anymore. It could be. It could be, but it's almost the relation. Like you need the relationships between, you know, like the chin and the edges of the face and the forehead. So I think that's another big thing that goes into doing proper caricatures. I think one of the reasons that this is not reading as him is because maybe we've moved up the nose too far. So let's try moving that back down. I've heard a lot of people say also that the relationships between the eyes and the nose are some of the biggest relationships that you need to preserve. So he's got a little bit more of a triangle type pattern going on here. This is me just testing out things I've heard. This is literally me showing you how I go about learning, my learning process. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and draw like a triangle. Let's draw a nice triangle here. So he's got this going on, right? This is my measurement of Josh Baylock's face, right? And the problem that we're having is, I believe, that we have this relationship happening here. And we need to bring that nose down to a more suitable area. So let's go ahead and just, let's do this. Let's actually just warp this triangle to how it's supposed to be. Go ahead and drop that down like that. And let's try just moving the entire half of that face down, and let's see if it makes it look more like him. I have a feeling it will. It looks like Gary Coleman. Alright, so let's go ahead and move this down right there. I can see you guys having some good suggestions over here, putting up names. Fortunately, you are not allowed to post links on Twitch. And I don't know if that's my doing or Twitch is doing. I don't know if there's a way that I can allow that, but at any rate, let's go ahead and continue. let's continue. So now we have a really long face. But I think it looks a little bit more like him. Interestingly. Interesting! So another thing is he's got like this lip, this upper lip here. So I'm just going to continue with this. We're going to kind of refine this to a good point, and then we're going to go ahead and end. Probably refine this for about, we'll go for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you guys can just watch me work. Watch me as I try to learn how to not suck at doing caricatures. Because this has always been something that's really, you know, it's one thing to draw characters in a comic. And I had this problem even when I was drawing cartoon characters for the comic. And I always thought, it's not that big of a deal. You know, it's no big deal, right? We can just draw the characters. I always sit down and I draw a face and I'd be like, ooh, I wonder who I'm gonna draw today, you know? Because it's just like, I like the fact that I drew random faces and that, you know, I could almost create a person from nothing. But eventually, the problem came up when I was like, okay, now I gotta draw the same character again. And I was like, oh, well, can't I just make up a new one? You know, what's the big deal? You know, and then I tried to draw the same character, and it just wouldn't work. And then the problem compounded once I wanted to draw caricatures. I always wanted to be a caricature artist, you know, like those dudes at Magic Mountain, you know, you sit down and they draw the caricatures of you. And I always wanted to know how they did it. I could never understand how they did it. I could distort someone's face so much and you still get their face in there. I think another thing about him is he's got these eyebrows. I like those. And he's got these wide things. He's got like a wide brow line as well. So I'm going to really exaggerate that, show that off as well. See, what's happening is I am creating a face. It's obviously a person, but it's still not quite Josh Baylock, and that disturbs me. We may actually finish this entire thing. In fact, I was prepared to finish this thing and not capture him at all. I was prepared to fail, basically. Because I wanted to show you guys how to learn. Okay, another thing that I'm noticing is his eyes. This guy's eyes are much closer than the other one. So let's go ahead and move those out. Also, they're a little bit more set like this. And again, I'm going to move them out extra far. I like that. I like it. Still doesn't look like him, but I like it. That's the other thing I like doing is I like experimenting and I like moving facial features around just with the lasso tool and seeing how it creates a new character. It literally does. It's really, really awesome. That's really sweet. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's just finish this up. And I'm going to take a few questions. And ask me about why I chose Tommy Boy for my thumbnail. For those of you too young to get the reference of why I suck as an artist. Yes, and he should be sad. He should be very sad. He looks very sad. Let's see if we can round up his eyebrows just a little bit more. He's got this glare thing going on. Yep. It's close. It's close, but still netting. This comes in handy when, you know, like I'm working freelance and we're trying to develop a character. And it's like, hey, I want it based on this person, but I don't want it to look exactly like him, right? Because then we'll get sued for, you know, using their likeness without their permission. And I was like, oh, sweet, that's my specialty because I can't exactly replicate likeness perfectly. And then we end up with an awesome character, you know. And what's interesting is after I create the character that's based on somebody, like I could replicate this face over and over and over again. Like if this was the character that we wanted to keep, I could easily replicate this face and draw it over and over and over again because then I would go in and again I would do the measurements and I'd be like, okay, well this is how you replicate this face. But like I said, I want more. I want more. I want to expand on my weaknesses and all that good stuff. Alright, so that's about as close as I can get to a caricature of Josh Baylock. It's not even that close, but I'm going to go ahead and open up question catapults. Please cast your questions over the castle walls. Anything goes. Unless it's in the frequently asked questions on Twitch. Please check those before you ask anything. Otherwise, I will find you and I will kill you. Okay. Tank Baylock. Oh, tons of Tommy Boy references going on over here. That makes me happy. That makes me very happy. Fat guy in a little coat. Richard, what's happening? Not really evil. Not really evil. You are my new favorite person. I don't know if I've seen you before. Are you new? Not really evil? Are you not really new? Alright. And while I'm waiting on questions, I'm just going to mess around with this a little bit more. See if I can get a little bit closer or something. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I hope you guys liked today's tutorial. I hope you understand that even I, the king of the castle, still suck. The king of the KNKL kingdom sucks at some things. But he's okay with it. He's okay with it. And he's willing to share with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm so gonna figure this out. And I gotta check into those awesome names. Some people put up some good names. Stanley Law. Stanley Law. I'm gonna write that one down and check that out. Also, someone sent me a really awesome PDF called Fun with a Pencil. Fun with a Pencil, and that kind of like goes into a diverse range of drawing cartoons, drawing realistically, and then it also goes into caricaturing, and that's something that I'm thinking about checking out too. So yeah, check out Fun with a Pencil, and I still have to go check out Stanley Law. All right, a couple questions coming in. Aliano is asking, are questions a viable tool for catapulting at actual castle walls and tearing down said castle walls? Words are power, but I don't know if they would actually tear down an actual castle wall. And it looks like you guys are just stumped. You guys are just stumped. You got nothing to say. You look at this and you're just like, I got nothing to say about that. You just go away. Alrighty, so with that, if you guys are just, you got nothing to say, it's fine. It's fine. I appreciate the honesty. And probably, you know, a lot of questions I get are just frequently asked, so yeah, just check downstairs. Check downstairs in the comments. We're going to go ahead and end today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 110 of the KNKL Show. Thank you once again for joining me live on Twitch. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. If you're on YouTube, I'll see you guys tomorrow for Whatever Wednesday. I'm probably going to do a little bit more research into this as we go on. I like to continue shows as we go forward. So, yeah, we'll see what comes up with that. And, yeah, you guys take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.